You're tuned in to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
That's not to say that they don't respect the run game that you have, but you're talking about one quarterback leading the conference in passing so far this year. And remember, he didn't start the first game.
Right.
Still played a lot, though.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
I just don't want to disappoint you. As much as I disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you in some things that you expect from me.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Nice to have you with us this morning. It is Election Day, so if you have not voted yet, get out today when the old polls open and exercise your right if you so choose.
Yeah, don't go vote before they open.
Yeah. If somebody hands you a ballot and says, "Hey, here's your ballot. I'll go ahead and turn it in for you." Yeah. This is not one of those. This is not one of those deals, right?
No sense getting a break-in and entering charge.
No,
to try to vote.
Just to try to vote. No, that's not. It's not worth that. So, hopefully you'll get out and do that today. They close, I believe, at 7:00 tonight. That's the traditional time. So on this Tuesday, Election Day. All right, we come to you this morning from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studios. Look forward to hearing from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Benchmark hotline is open as well at 806-771-0973. The Red Raiders and Lady Raiders opened up basketball play last night. Also, the head football coach met with the Fourth Estate yesterday to speak about this past weekend against TCU and this upcoming weekend against KU, which Texas Tech will battle the Jayhawks at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Our Optimum Game Day Live coverage will begin at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. I was thinking about this coming in going, man, it sure seems like we've not had many road games this year. And at the end of because you've got 2 of your last 3 are at home, which is ideal, especially when you're trying to get to be bowl eligible. You got this week, then you play at Iowa State, and then you finish at home against Oklahoma. But, as far as the traveling is concerned, haven't had a whole lot. Haven't had success on the road, but haven't had to go away from the friendly confines a whole lot. So you got that going for you.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah. No,
positive.
It is good. It is positive. All right, basketball last night. What'd you see that stood out to you that you liked as far as the men's game is concerned?
You can see there's a ton of talent there.
Mm-hmm,
that was
no
the
doubt.
First thing that jumped out, I think Daniel Bacho was impressive. And you think of him as a big, strong, physical guy, and I thought he showed some finesse with being able to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim as well. So I liked that. I thought you shot it well from beyond the arc. So I thought the perimeter shooting, which we all know going back to last year, was a problem for that team. Felt like you had a lot of different guys that could fill it up from beyond the arc.
Tech last night, 24-46 from the field, 52.2%, 7 of 18 from distance last night, 38.9. 2 of 9 in the second half, 5 of 9 in the first half, and then 18 of 22 from the free throw line last night. Texas Tech, in terms of points scored last evening, you got 12 from Daniel Bacho, and then kind of all just spread out all throughout. Kevin O'Banner had 9. Jason Tyson had 8. Jalen Tyson had 8. 7 points for Davion Harmon. He had 7. 9 also from Kerwin Walton last night. And Pop Isaacs had 6 points. Both of his were 3-pointers. He can shoot the ball.
He can.
He can shoot the ball.
Made another one after he stepped out of bounds. He definitely looks like he's got a quick trigger and can fill it up.
Had 19 assists on your 24 made field goals, but 20 turnovers last night. That's something you're going to want to fix.
Yeah, first game for so many new players.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Pop had 5. That wasn't ideal. And then DeMaurian Williams had 4 last night. What did you think of Jalen Tyson's shoes last night?
Loved them.
Yeah. I've gotten to this point now where I immediately go to everybody's shoes. I'm like, okay, and it's starting to irritate me as well.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. That's okay. It's not your fault. Tech had 28 points in the paint last night and 15 off of turnovers by Northwestern State. They had 49 points, led by Isaac Haney. He had 16, and Jamonta Black had 12. What did you think of their big fella, Jordan Wilmore? He's big. He had no points and 2 rebounds. He's like 7'3".
Mm-hmm. Like 3-0 something or other.
Is that right? Is that what he goes?
Yeah, he's
a large man.
He was large, but was not in charge.
He was not.
0 points and 2 rebounds was clearly not in charge.
He had a 1 block shot. His plus minus was minus 11. He was not the leader in that though. Joshua,
I can't believe anybody on their team when you lose like that would have been plus.
One guy was 0, and he played a minute 54.
See, there you go.
Okay, everybody else was minus on the night. So they get off to a good start. I mean, they get off with a win. It wasn't a Monet or a Picasso by any stretch of the imagination.
Taking care of business Monday night.
TCOB, right? TCOB, taking care of business.
I think you don't have to put the O in there because it's only 2 letters. I think you can just say TCB.
Oh, taking care of business?
Yeah.
Oh, instead of taking care of business?
No, I like when you make the acronym there, don't you? You don't have to if it's like a.
Like the FBI is FBI, not FBI.
OI.
Okay. Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Of Investigation,
Yeah,
but
right.
there's no O.
TCB, taking care of business. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Okay, so the men will play again on Thursday. So their turnaround is quick. They play Texas Southern, and we'll have that for you at 6. The tip time is at 7 on Thursday night. Meanwhile, Lady Raiders in action last night. They took on Corpus Christi, the Islanders from Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Wonky start, trailed after 16-9, but then held them to 3 points in the second quarter, outscoring them 21-3. And Tech getting some nice performances last night from a variety of players. They kind of spread it all around. Jasmine Lewis, she had a career-high 15 points last night. Bailey Maupin had 11. Riley McKinney had 11 last night. And Katie Farrell, 6 rebounds, 3 points, 5 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists last night for her.
And 4 steals.
Yeah, and 4 steals. And she was scrappy. And she is all that they have talked about that she would be in terms of her being a floor general and not afraid to fight and the ability to pass the ball and just all those things. So I think she's going to be a really nice addition for the Lady Raiders. They get 35 off the bench last night, 38 in the paint. Lady Raiders went 4 of 12 from distance last night, 27 of 49 from the field, and then 11 of 16 from the free throw line last night. So good evening.
How about Katie Farrell's plus minus? Plus 29 in 24 minutes of action.
It's impressive.
That's extremely impressive.
And there was
that is really good stuff.
Good stretch of the fourth quarter. She did
shows
not play.
Yeah, she plays both ends of the floor.
Yeah.
And she was also probably in for most of the 21-3 run. So that'll also pad that a little bit. But still, that's a really impressive number.
Mm-hmm. And I think they sat her for the most part in the fourth quarter just because she's played a lot of minutes over the last 4 years, and they want to take care of her knees. So take care of her legs, so it's a long season. So good start for them last night, 69-49. They're not in action for another week, so they've got time to look at this one, correct some things, and see what they did right and see what they did wrong. But we're off and running as far as Texas Tech basketball is concerned. If you have thoughts, comments, if you're at the ball game last night and you have observations you want to share along, you can on the Yates Flooring Center chat line, Benchmark hotline as well.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, getting you ready for today's sports day.
3 of the first 4 games have been at home, so at some point in time you're going to have to venture outside the 806, so that'll start this week.
While having a little fun along the way.
Always good if you can blame it on somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Especially some media guy.
Sure. Right, some media guy.
Catch the show live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
Tuesday, November the 8th, 2022. With this day in sports history, here's Jeff McGuire.
Today would be a really good day to do something awesome in sports. I don't know what you're going to do.
Because there's nothing?
Because there's not a lot.
Okay.
History, however, there's kind of a big event that we'll get to here in a minute. But first, in 1951, New York Yankees catcher Yogi Berra wins his first of 3 MVP awards. 1966, Frank Robinson of the Baltimore Orioles is selected as the AL MVP. It's the first player to win MVP in both leagues.
Cool.
1966, President Lyndon Baines Johnson signs the antitrust immunity to the NFL-AFL merger.
Which is still huge today for those NFL owners.
They will bury bodies to keep that antitrust.
Yes, that's right.
1970, Tom Dempsey of the New Orleans Saints kicks an NFL record 63-yard field goal. I should say then NFL record. It's been beaten a couple of times since then.
My in-laws were at that game, and Tim Siegel, former Texas Tech tennis coach, was at that game.
I'm told he really is a big fan of the Saints.
I've heard that rumor.
Heard that rumor before.
Yeah, although the the Saints didn't really
Didn't
show
make Coach Siegel very happy
last night.
imagine.
No.
I don't think there's a bigger Saints fan.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Not in this town,
Oh, definitely not here.
and not in many.
1990, Darryl Strawberry signs a 5-year contract with the LA Dodgers. And in 1997, Tampa Bay Devil Rays named their first manager, Larry Rothschild. It is National Cappuccino Day. Happy birthday to Gordon Ramsay, who's 56. Rapper Tech 9 is 51. Parker Posey, 54. Tara Reid, 47. Mary Hart is 72. Giancarlo Stanton is 33. And Sam Bradford is 35.
Did you see the picture of Giancarlo and Aaron Judge at the New York City Marathon with Judge's wife? I mean, I don't have any idea how tall she is, but she was in between the two of them. I mean, she looked every bit of like 2 feet tall, standing next to those two. I'm only slightly exaggerating. I mean, it looks like Aaron Judge is married. I didn't know he's married. They said Aaron Judge's wife. The picture did. I mean, she can't be over.
She's like 5'2" or something. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
5'2". Yeah.
But standing next to Judge, everybody looks small. And being small to begin with doesn't help in any way, shape, or form in that picture. On this day in 1962, the famous Ford Rotunda stands in Dearborn, Michigan for the last time. The next day, it's destroyed in a massive fire. Some 1.5 million people visited the Rotunda each year, making it the 5th most popular tourist attraction in the U.S., behind Niagara Falls, Smoky Mountain National Park, the Smithsonian, and the Lincoln Memorial. Ford had commissioned it in 1933's for the Century of Progress exhibition in Chicago and had moved it to Dearborn when the fair ended. It was 130 feet high and designed to look like a stack of gear surrounding a 92-foot wide courtyard. Many people who grew up in Detroit during the 50s remember the Rotunda for its spectacular Christmas displays. Every year, it had a 37-foot tall tree, an elaborate Santa's workshop, and a life-size nativity that the National Council of Churches called the largest and finest in the country.
Wonder why they didn't rebuild it.
We'll get to that. Each year's installation had a different theme. 1958's display boasted a 15,000-piece hand-carved miniature circus, for instance, and in 1962, the show that was scheduled to be that year would be a woodland tablet featuring 2,500 dolls. While the workmen were preparing the Rotunda for the display, someone overturned a fire pot or a heater on the building's tar roof. Just after lunch, an employee spotted the flames of the ceiling on the main floor within a few minutes after the first alarm. The New York Times reported the octagonal top of the building resembled a huge chimney with smoke and flames pouring out. Workers evacuated, and the building was burned to the ground in less than an hour. A group of school children who were visiting the Rotunda from South Bend watched in horror from a cafeteria across the street. It would have cost at least $15 million at the time, which would be $145 million today, to rebuild it. The company opted to say not to spend the money and raze the buildings remains instead. And that is this day in sports history.
In other words, they cashed out. Took the insurance money. Which is what you can do if you play our little game, Secret Word. All you have to do is go to doublet973.com when I give you this word and enter it in, and you could cash out of $10,000 from Double T 97.3 in the home zone with our Secret Word local contest that we want you to win. So our Secret Word at 6:51 this morning is Trojans, as in USC Trojans, as in the head coach is a former Texas Tech grad assistant, Lincoln Riley, who now coaches the USC Trojans. Trojans, Trojans, Trojans.
Former Texas Tech player, too.
Yeah.
Do we have to claim him right now, though?
I always liked USC. I always liked USC. I mean, just the horse, the whole thing. And
I mean, I know that we've got other guys in the program history and different athletic parts that maybe don't bend our banners far and wide as much as they should. But do we have to claim that one?
What's your... You just
crying over Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Like he had died because he was suspended.
I mean, I don't root for him, and that's really one of the major reasons where I stopped rooting for him over that. I thought that was ridiculous, pretty pitiful as far as I was concerned. I actually, one of my best friends is a big USC fan, so I kind of pull for the Trojans as well. But yeah, I have a hard time rooting for Lincoln. I thought that was just a terrible look for him. Terrible look.
I like kind of what they have, and not necessarily the individual coaches, but some of the players that they've had and been pretty spectacular and fun to watch. All right, that is this day in sports history and our secret word, 6:52 this morning here on the Morning Drive.
Just so you know, Chuck, you were dead on. Judge's wife is 5'2".
5'2", okay.
And I found a very interesting story about how at spring training one year when she was just the girlfriend, she got pulled over for an extreme DWI.
Oh, that's right.
Extreme one, or DUI, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
And there was a body cam video, and she dropped on the police officer, "Don't you know who I am?
Right.
My boyfriend is our judge."
Yes.
I can't believe I had never heard that story.
No, I remember that story. I do. Yeah, don't you know who I am?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, he didn't. I don't think he
And
did.
Judge is like the most private person ever, so I'm gotta believe that just killed him. Yeah.
That went out to be okay on that.
If you ever say that, you are the worst person in the world at that point.
Don't you know who I am?
Don't you know who I am?
Because if they do, they don't care. And if they don't, you're not as famous as you think you are.
Right.
Yeah, if they don't know, that's right. No, I don't. No, I don't know who you are.
I don't know who you are. I'm sorry. Who are you? Not like who is in.
Now, fortunately for us, we don't ever have to worry about that with Chuck. Because everybody knows Chuck
who he is. That's right.
No. This from the Yates Morning Center chat line. I'm just going to read it exactly as it's stated here. Jamer, who had your favorite pair of brightly colored shoes on the court last night?
Stop trolling me, people. I am trying to make a conscious effort to just let it go. Okay?
Okay.
Just not complain about it. Just not be the old fuddy-duddy that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I promise you it is not bothering me any less. I am just not going to complain about it all season long.
Do you think you're the only one bothered by it?
I don't know.
Rest assured you are not.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It really does irk me. I don't understand why we can't wear the school colors. They don't have to match each other. I just wear the school colors. That's it. If you want to play for a yellow or green school, go play for a yellow or green school. If you want to play for Texas Tech, wear red, white, or black or gray. It's pretty simple. Sorry.
It's not unreasonable.
God forbid you don't stand out and stick out from the rest of the crowd, that you just fit in as a team. It's just so much to ask people nowadays. See, you did it, Chuck.
I know it. You got on the end of that limb.
And I'm done. I'm not talking about it ever again.
All right.
You're listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
A little bit later on tonight, we'll have the Astros and the Diamondbacks. That'll be at 8. And then the Rangers playing at Seattle tonight.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
Was it pretty big?
Yeah, I mean,
Impressive?
Yeah.
Was it fascinating?
I thought it was fascinating. It kind of smelled, but I mean.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Double T 97.3 studio. Look forward to hearing from you today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line and also the Benchmark hotline. We'll have high school fan zone. Jeff mentioned that in his sports center with coaches from Monterey and Lubbock High. And then tomorrow, coaches from Friendship and Lubbock Cooper. Both those two schools are still involved with football, and we'll have Friday night football on the air for you for both Lubbock Cooper and for Friendship. Lubbock Cooper on 100.7 The Score, and Friendship here on Double T 97.3. So that's exciting as they'll march on. So that'll be cool. Yeah, good luck to them.
And it's great that they both get to host in the first round.
Play at home. Friday Night Live, but we'll have that after the Friendship game, your high school scoreboard show, kind of get you up to date on what's taking place. And then Saturday morning, as part of Optimum Game Day Live, presented by United Supermarkets, it's the Saturday morning quarterback. That'll be at 7 a.m. with our man Garrett Luft and his trusty sidekick, Andres Flores. Okay, look forward to that. And then the kick between KU and Texas Tech at 6, as the Red Raiders will work this week to try to figure out a way to win number 5 of the season, heading into the home stretch of this year. Next week they're at Iowa State, and then finish up the day after, 2 days after Thanksgiving, at home against Oklahoma. It'd be nice if you were already bowl eligible going to that game, take a little pressure off.
It'd be extremely nice.
You know, and then you kind of put yourself in a position where...
And then you'd have like the excitement of feeling like, okay,
get a little bit better bowl
we've
trip.
got our 6, and now let's play free and easy and have some fun. But this chance to beat an Oklahoma team that you don't get to beat Oklahoma a lot, playing at home and all that. I'm so confused. I don't know if confused is the right word, but I'm interested, intrigued to see what it's going to be like. I mean, for both teams and both fan bases, and what that's going to be. I just don't know if that's going to be awesome and necessary and, it means something to everybody, or if it's just not going to be. I mean, I don't think this will happen. Clearly, let me say that. I don't think this will happen. But if you lost your next 2 and it meant nothing to you, I mean, I think that place could be empty.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it could be a woeful environment.
Yeah. But if you won the next 2, and
I think it could be a really good environment.
Really good environment.
Yeah.
Or even if you win one of the next 2 and you're playing for the right to get to a bowl game, hopefully you'd have somewhat of an atmosphere. Maybe not the same. Kind of depends on which one you win. If you win at home Saturday, does that inspire more folks to come back for the final home game?
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder, and not to mock or make fun, but I've just, with senior day coming up, I'm so confused about super seniors and people that still have a year of eligibility, or seniors that may have 2 years of eligibility. It's like, how many times?
Like Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, how many times you trot back out there?
I mean, we have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Bradford's in the same situation too.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of guys have that extra year because of COVID. And sooner or later, I mean, we'll get out of that, but it's gonna take a couple more years before you're finally kind of through all the COVID players.
Still more.
Well, I mean,
I know.
It was only 2 years ago, so I mean, you got almost a lifetime, to kind of get yourself. Kids that haven't even been born yet, and they'll be kindergartners. They're like, this is his COVID senior year. Like, what is that, Dad? Yeah.
You know, it's only fair, though, that we honor some of these guys twice, because there's a bunch of guys we never get to honor because they head off early to the NFL or the NBA or
they
whatever.
Transfer.
Or they transfer out that we would want to honor in our own regard. But, you know, nothing wrong with honoring people a couple of times.
Multiple senior nights because they've been at XYZ and then ZYU and then ABC. So they got, all these different. Oh, that was my senior jersey from, Sheboygan. This is my senior jersey from, Townsend State. And this is my one from Texas Tech.
It's all pomp and circumstance, Chuck.
Right.
You got to love it a little bit. Embrace it.
Embrace it. All right.
We're having a party. Everybody gets a jersey party in a nice little frame and a plaque.
All right. Lots of discussion yesterday, and I'm sure over the weekend with your individual coordinator meetings that you had in your neighborhood or your garage or, your friendly watering hole or, church sanctuary or wherever it took place. Coach Joey McGuire meeting with the media yesterday. The discussion is going for it on fourth down. Here's Coach McGuire.
Yeah, we've done that a couple times. Usually, when we've done that, we've kind of audibled a couple times during the game. Once we kind of get into it and we're saying these are the numbers, frustrating. I'll give you a perfect. I know what everybody's going to talk about. It's 20-17. It's 4th and 2 or 3rd and 2. I go back and I think, I went into we've been a little bit different to where we've been really focused on getting first downs and continuing drives. At one point, and that we're probably still in the top 2 or 3 of first downs in the country, and just kind of what we are as a team. And I talked to Zach earlier in the week, and I said, hey, look, man, if we're at the number, especially whenever it's a number we feel good about, I want you to be really aggressive on 3rd down. And we were, right there leading up to that point in the weeks, we had probably gotten the first down on 3rd down whenever it was something like that instead of being so aggressive.
And so you kind of look at that and go, okay, 3rd and 2, I'm just curious why you need to be so aggressive.
And I would guess that was something that they were seeing in TCU's defense or feeling like they could take advantage of.
Kind of a
matchups or, individual matchups down the field, or feeling like they had a propensity to play closer to the line of scrimmage and peek into the backfield, and you might have an opportunity with double moves to get down the field. Unfortunately, you lost some of your key big guys that can make those plays down the field. I personally am not a big fan of the throwing the ball up for a 50-50 ball to Miles Price. He's a shorter receiver. You gotta lead him and let him run underneath it, right, and let him use his speed. Mm-hmm. So the injuries probably affected that a little bit. I don't know. There's just a lot that could be the reason that they felt like they wanted to do that. But man, it just puts you in a situation where you're in those 4th down now, and 4th and 2s and 4th and 3s and 4th and 4s, where okay, you may be able to pick them up 75% of the time, and that's great, and it moves you down the field. But man, when you don't, it puts your defense in a really bad spot, and it changes the game in a hurry.
Yeah, and
it
with
is
a lot of time
massive
left
momentum swing.
Mm-hmm. Especially with kind of what you had left on the clock. The first one, when it was 20-17 and it was 4th and 2, and then you don't get it and you give up the ball basically your own 36-yard line. We'll get a couple things more from Coach McGuire from his media event yesterday. 7:10 this morning. Your thoughts, comments this morning on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com.
Getting your sports day started the right way. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, breaking down the biggest games.
If Texas Tech does not win the Big 12 football conference, who are you rooting for to win the conference if Tech does not win it this year?
Well, busting some chops along the way.
I hold back on sending you stuff. I'm very, very, very judicious.
We spend 3 hours a day, 5 days a week together. Why would we need to communicate during the weekends.
Right,
Save it for the show.
We do. We save it for the show.
Tune in to the Morning Drive live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
I'd say hit me with your best shot, but it might put me out, and then I wouldn't be able to talk. So just give it to me without your best shot.
Don't make your best pickoff move.
Your best words. Your best words, not your best shot.
Okay.
I might have a glass jaw.
All right. Okay. My question for you guys today, I'm going to go Red Raider basketball. And I just want to go back to last night's game and just ask a pretty simple, basic, generic question. What did you like most about last night's contest and what you saw from the Red Raiders in the first game of the season?
You know, the thing that stood out to me the most was just how athletic they are and how quick they are. And it was just and not this, I mean, I don't know if they're more athletic than last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but just seemed to be really talented with regard to whether it was Elijah Fisher, the freshman, or Jalen Tyson, the transfer, or Pop Isaacs, the freshman. Heck, Kevin O'Banner, Daniel Bacho. So I would tell you the level of athleticism and talent stood out to me. Jeff?
You took care of business in a game that you needed to take care of business in. You're not going to learn anything from these games for how this team is going to play in Big 12 play. The competition just isn't there. But you did what you were supposed to do, and you had a balanced attack. It wasn't just a one guy scoring all your points for you. You got a double-double out of the guy you should have gotten a double-double out of. You played Mark Adams' defense. You held serve. And I know that's kind of a weak answer, but there's a chance you wouldn't have done those things in the first game of the year. I like that they got the job done. That's a good step for the next game where their goal is to get the job done again.
You know, for the schools that have a hard, like in that first game, there's a little bit of a, I don't know, hiccup, or you just don't play really well. Maybe like TCU or something, you don't play well, and maybe you're kind of a little high on yourselves, and maybe you don't come in all fired up or whatever. I'm just like, that atmosphere, I don't know that you can do that. That we have as a fan base, right? I mean, the way our crowd is so good at Tech basketball games right now, atmosphere is so phenomenal. I don't know how a guy can come out and not be just like, wow, this is fun to play in front of, you know?
No doubt.
So I think that wasn't my answer, but that was just kind of talking about, you know, taking care of business part of it. My answer is, I just thought, here's what I thought was really, really cool. I thought on the first possession of the season on defense, you forced a shot clock violation. I thought that was awesome for this team that is built on defense. And I thought that two newcomers in Davion Harmon and Kerwin Walton taking charges in the first half, newcomers that you want to buy into your system and what you're doing and all the above, I thought that was a really awesome sign as well, that they have bought into the culture and what we're trying to do here. And all the, I mean, Walton was thought of. What did we hear about Kerwin Walton? Oh, he's a 3-point shooting specialist. And what did we see that dude doing last night? Making awesome cuts and moving without the basketball and getting to the rim. Loved it. Loved a couple of his baskets where he was moving away from the ball. And just, I love guys that keep moving. Guys, girls, whatever, just keep moving. Don't be stagnant. So I was a big fan of that. So I just like, the newcomers feel like they've bought in. And the freshmen looked really good. And I don't think we even really saw much of the potential of Elijah Fisher last night. We saw the great block hustling down the court. But offensively, he didn't do much. I think he's going to do a lot more. But I thought you saw more of Pop Isaacs where he was ready to go as soon as the lights turned on. Mm-hmm. He doesn't seem like he's bashful about getting up shots.
No. He was 2 of 4, had 6 points. Elijah Fisher was 2 of 4, had 5 points. He played 15:53, and Isaacs played 18:09. You know, the other thing that stood out to me just in being in the arena last night for the first half, and just seeing the crowd grow throughout the Lady Raider game. And by the way, the Raider Riot, for the most part, it was pretty full for the Lady Raider game. They came out and supported the women's team, which I thought was cool. Mm-hmm. But as the crowd grew, but just, you know, for the men's game, it sat way in the upper deck in the southwest corner upstairs. Just the fan knowledge base, I think, has grown exponentially over the past few years, and just the seeing, you know, people up there and into the game, and I mean, it's impressive that atmosphere at United Supermarkets Arena. I mean, we're talking about a team that nobody was scared about playing, right? But I thought just the presentation, obviously the music and everything that goes with it, but then just the way that the fans responded and reacted to certain things that took place on the court really stood out to me. And it was, you know, it can be a very intimidating atmosphere if you're playing the opponent, if you're the opponent. But, you know, for opening night and week one, I mean, definitely people were excited to be there. I mean, there was a lot of energy in the building last night. You could just feel it, even through halftime last night. So that's what stood out to me. One guy that we didn't get to see play last night that I really would have loved to have seen, and I think that the fans would have loved to have seen as well. And this is a Northwestern State player. His name is Hansel Emmanuel, and when he was 6 years old, he's from the Dominican Republic. He unfortunately had a retaining wall collapse on him that forced the amputation of one of his arms. And Fink and I were down there after our game, and we're looking, and Fink's like, "Look, this guy's got one arm." And so, I mean, man, just seeing him out on the floor, and, you know, being able to handle the basketball and put up shots and dunks and things like that, and only have one arm was it was inspiring, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
And apparently he's a motivational speaker and has a bunch of YouTube videos out, but he did not get to play last night. But he's tall, he's athletic, he's 6'6", and he can jump out of the gym. And he just, you know, unfortunately for him, when he was 6 years old, he lost one of his arms in an accident and had to be amputated. Mm-hmm. But obviously has not let that deter him from being a college basketball player. And I'm like, God, for all the problems that everybody thinks they have, look at this young man and what he's overcome.
No doubt. That's pretty cool.
Pretty impressive. So anyway, that was my take on it on last night. And man, there's only more to come, and they'll be back in action on Thursday. And it was not full last night. I mean, they've sold out the arena.
It really doesn't matter right now. The students are making it so incredibly
absolutely
cool. It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be full of the townies, as you like to call them. Yeah,
it was the upper deck. I mean, for the most part. I mean, the lower deck and the student section was full, and you know, it was loud, and it was impressive, and it was good. Tech will play Texas Southern on Thursday night. That's a 7:00 tip time. We'll have it for you here on Double T 97.3. Coverage gets underway at 6. We'll have Red Raider football Thursday night on 100.7 The Score with Coach Joey McGuire as we get you ready for Texas Tech and Kansas on Saturday. So that's the next action for the ladies. They don't play until Tuesday. They'll play Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Play Jackson State and then Colorado in back-to-back games. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday they'll travel to Louisiana and they'll play Louisiana in Lafayette on Sunday. So that will be their only true road game of the non-conference. They'll play in Vegas over Thanksgiving, but that's a tournament, and that's, you know, obviously a neutral site for all of those teams.
Do the men have any true road games?
Let me do a quick look here. They go to Maui. No, their first true road game is at TCU.
So not until Big 12 play.
Yeah, they play Jackson State, but that's in Houston as part of the HBCU Roundball Classic. I don't think it's maybe it is at Jackson State's home arena, but it doesn't say. That would be the only one, December the 17th.
Your morning blend of sports,
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
and humor.
Sure to tell them that. You suggested that. And, of course, that got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Somebody reminds me of a word that Finkner used last night. This was on him. He came up with the word intentionality last night.
Intentionality.
Intentionality, right.
That's
There was
good.
another word that he came up with, too.
See, I think that's great because everybody knows what that means. It's very descriptive. I have no idea if it's legitimately a word or not, and I honestly don't care. I mean, it makes complete sense to me.
Right. So anyway, that was one of the words that he came up with last night. There were a couple things last night, but anyway, I think we're off to a good start.
Good.
with our broadcast.
I heard a little bit of it. I thought it was great.
We got everything in, got the final score right, so got in on time, got out on time.
And led
Got
them
out
to a
of-
victory.
And led him to a victory. That's right. Got out of the way. It was a little wonky there at the end because this gal for Corpus Christi hits a three, and so I mean it's a 20-point game, and hits the three, and she gets fouled on the play, and then there's a question as to whether it was a 3 or a 2, and so I mean there's no time left on the clock. They're trying to get the men's game on time. And we're trying to get out of the way of Haxton and his group so they can,
Yeah, I heard Haxton was like unplugging your cords and
right.
pushing your stuff out of the way.
Like shove me.
Well, actually, it wasn't Haxton. It was one of his people, right?
One of his people,
Yes,
right.
his people.
It was one of his
They were
people.
all dressed in black,
Right,
right? There's
right.
like,
And so, I mean,
I'm sorry, you
need to leave Mr. Haxton's area.
You do,
right
you do
now.
have to move out of the way.
I did think it was a little rude they did the orchestra play you off. You guys could have finished your broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, there was.
So anyway, it's like
When the guy looked at you and you said, "Hey, we have one more post game segment left," and he responded with,
No, you-
"Adios, muchacho."
they did say that. Adios, muchacho. Get up and you can't stay here anymore. But then it took like 3 or 4 minutes, and Coach Gerlich standing there for the handshake line, and finally they determined yes, it was a 3. And I'm like, what in the world does it matter here? This game is over, and then we're going to take all this time to look for this. So then they put the gal at the free throw line, and I was glad she missed it so they could have a 20-point. Because then they put .3 on the clock. She misses the free throw, and then there wasn't enough time to put the shot back up. So anyway, bottom line is they won the game. So let's see. All right, couple things from Coach McGuire. He was asked about Tyler Shuck yesterday. Is he mentally and physically ready to play? Because it's either going to be Shuck or Donovan Smith because Baron Morton's been ruled out for Saturday.
Mentally I do. I mean, I think mentally whenever we're sitting there talking about going with him right there, it's like, taking care of the football, getting us in the right plays. But you could definitely see the rust. I mean, the very first throw that he makes to X, I mean, you definitely can see the rust. And it's just continuing, to push him in practice. I mean, both, when we talk to Donovan and him, man, we just got to let it rip. Like you can't be cautious. You can't be worried about you got to be smart with the football, but you got to let it rip and have confidence in it. And so I think this is a big week to see where he's at. And definitely see where Donovan's at. Donovan's really healthy right now, so I feel good about him with that. And I think that's a part because mentally, there's no doubt he's there and totally gets it.
Okay. I think anytime anybody's been through an injury until you get hit, or even when you've been hit and broken collarbones like he has, I mean, it would certainly be understandable to kind of have that not only in the back of your mind, the front of your mind, and especially when you're playing Division I college football. Although, I mean, he got hit very early on in that game here against Baylor. So, I get it, I understand, but man, it sure seems like that he is a bit off. And that first throw, I mean, it doesn't look like he has any velocity. That's the word that I'm looking for. Velocity with his throws.
Yeah, but in his throws down the field, the deep balls that he threw were were all underthrown. Even the great touchdown pass, I mean, was a pass that was underthrown. Mm-hmm. I mean, if the defensive back doesn't fall down, it's a easy pick right at him probably.
All right, another
great catch by the receiver. I mean, I'm not saying it was a terrible pass. I don't mean to insinuate that, because ultimately it got to where it needed to go and you allowed your receiver to make a play. But if the defensive back doesn't fall down, it's probably not getting caught, at the very least.
Another guy that I'm concerned about, I'm curious about his status, because he was taken out of the ball game and presumably put in concussion protocol after the targeting call on him, was Joran Bradley, the receiver. Here's Coach McGuire on Bradley.
Yeah, right now we're trying to get a feel that he's one that I wouldn't say back or out. I mean, he's working through the process. That was a really tough hit that he took. And when that happens, you got to be real careful. Drew does a great job, but just overall, the Big 12 does a great job of making sure these guys are right before they go back in the game. He went through a workout yesterday. He didn't practice, but he went through lifts and everything like that, and he ran. And so we're just taking it day by day with him. We have enough days to get him back. If he is, so I would say he's in concussion protocol. We have enough days to get him back. It's just, is he symptom free to play on Saturday?
Oh man, that's a tough call there. Sounds like.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate the fact that they're doing everything they can to make sure the student athlete is taken care of there. It's not just about one football game, and so we've seen the side effects and the ill effects to what's
the quickness too. Like if you've had one, how quick the second one seems to come if you're not fully back yet. But
yeah, take as much time as you need to take. I mean, make sure you get them right. But you're clearly you were with the injuries that you've had at the wide receiver position without having Cleveland there also. I mean, it hurt you.
Yeah,
it absolutely did. And we can't whine too much. TCU didn't have their number one receiver as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, shouldn't though, if you're I know this is what I do. I hear somebody enters the concussion protocol, they miss the next week's game. Like the very few times that they do get to play in the next game, I treat that as like getting a cupcake at the end of the day. Hey, look, I got a cupcake. It was great. I plan on them missing the next game.
Expect the worst, hope for the best. See, it's my motto on life. And,
I know,
and Jeff's buying into it.
Hey, did Coach McGuire say anything about J.J. Sparkman and his availability for Saturday?
If he did, it was in that first little blurb where he goes through like 5 or 6 players.
Okay.
We didn't go back to it.
Okay. All right. So it didn't get back to that. All right. Well, hopefully he'll be okay. One guy that was back, and I'm not going to get into this too much, but it was good to see Cameron Valdez run the football. And he's been available, but there've been just with the way that Taj Brooks and Sir Roderick Thompson have been running, they didn't want to, mess up what they were already doing. So, but it was good to see Valdez. And, sometimes those guys that, late in the season who have been out and they come in and have, quote, the fresh legs, could really make an impact. And maybe he's the guy that can make an impact down the stretch for you.
Well, maybe so. He looked good on Saturday, no doubt about it. You can't ever have too many quality running backs.
Yeah.
It just feels like those guys are constantly getting hurt.
Yeah. Somebody makes this observation, and I think to date it is, but they said, who would have thought the biggest game of the year would be against Kansas? I don't know if it's the biggest, but I mean, it's
right now it is.
Right now it is, yeah. You certainly don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to win at Iowa State and home against Oklahoma to get yourself bowl eligible. I think if you'd have said that at the start of the year, you're like, oh man, don't really like that.
Yeah. Obviously the Texas win was massive for you.
Sure.
For a lot of different reasons, but right now you're in a situation where you need 2 wins. So, yeah, the next game is massive, and you only have 3 left.
Yeah.
So it's huge.
The other word that Finkner came up with last night, in addition to intentionality, and I've never heard him say this, is boogie-loo. Boogie-loo.
What does boogie-loo mean?
I think it was more about the kind of the style of play or the running I don't know. It was Boogie-Loo. Boogie-Loo was another word that he used last night. Boogie-Loo and intentionality. So we are off and rolling with Lady Raider basketball. We've got 2 new words for
You
Webster's.
guys are mid-season form.
Mid-season form, yes.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.